This week, we discovered that we were doing things the hard way for no reason, because the solution was sitting in our asset library the whole time. Turns out hoarding pays off! Steve and not Steve are still T-posing, but now they're surrounded by an actual forest instead of just scattered trees. Matt found and bought an asset that promises to be a lightweight, blueprint-based GPU foliage spawner. After weeks of fighting with grass that mysteriously tanks performance while not actually appearing, this may be the solution that we're looking for. The key feature is that it can handle really dense grass with minimal performance cost by using GPU instancing. If it actually does what it says on the tin, we could finally have the ground cover that we've been trying to implement without murdering the frame rate. He's been working through tutorials on how the tool works and experimenting with adding ground cover foliage to the scene. Initial tests look promising. Actual grass you can see, and runs at playable frame rates. Revolutionary. Matt also added an actual forest to the map and started experimenting with cutting out sections for features like rivers and clearings. It's one thing to scatter individual trees randomly, but creating a cohesive forest with intentional negative space for gameplay areas is a different skill entirely. The map is starting to look less like terrain with some stuff on it, and more like an actual environment you'd want to explore. There are places to hide, landmarks to navigate by, and areas that feel distinct from one another. He also added the town back into the open world map. Before this, the town and the forest were completely separate test environments, but now they're part of the same continuous test space. You can actually walk from the village into the hunting grounds instead of loading between discrete areas. Matt's also started researching on how to add nav meshes and spawning systems to open world games like ours. Matt also found a tool called Ultimate Level Art Tool in our asset library. We apparently got it from Humble Bundle a couple of years ago and completely forgot that we owned it. This tool is a lifesaver for building. I've been playing around with it, and once I get comfortable with the controls, I should be able to build structures about 10 times faster than before. Remember that terrible tavern? Yeah, it took me about 200 minutes to assemble, give or take. With this tool, I can probably knock it out in 20 minutes. It's not quite perfect, even if it is pretty close. For example, I don't have rotational translation tools, but honestly, if I can get the basic shape blocked out in a reasonable amount of time, then go back and add some of the more interesting details by hand, I'm not really gonna complain. And it works with props. Tables, chairs, wagons, apples, etc. And it even has a function to do physics-enabled placement of meshes. So if you want a pile of rocks, you don't have to manually place them and hope they look more or less natural. You can just dump them from a digital wheelbarrow and let the rocks fall where they may. The difference is night and day. Instead of manually aligning every single piece and fighting with snapping that doesn't quite work, at least for me, this tool handles modular building the way it's supposed to work, like Lego blocks. Pieces snap together properly, alignment is automatic, and the workflow is designed around rapid iteration rather than tedious manual placement. This week taught us that workflow tools can make or break your productivity. The difference between 200 minutes and 20 minutes for the same result isn't always about skill or effort. It's about cheating with tools that someone smarter than you built, which is pretty easy, because basically everyone's smarter than I am, standing on the shoulder of giants and all that. Matt's foliage spawner and my building tool are hopefully going to enable us as a two-person team to do what would have required a whole team to do only 10 years ago. The forest collections and town integration are starting to come together as a cohesive environment instead of just a collection of disconnected test scenes. We're finally moving away from gray blocks to prototype art, way faster than I expected. Steve and not Steve now have proper forest to T-pose in, and I can finally build houses without wanting to throw my computer out the window. Progress on all fronts. As always, like and subscribe. We really do appreciate your support.